He was looking for Giroud. Pulisic. Yeah! 1-0 Chelsea.
Welcome to FA Cup Files, ESTD 1871, where football's oldest trophy tells its greatest stories. Step into history with FA Cup Files, a tribute to grit, glory, and the birth of the beautiful game. Since 1871, legends have been made. FA Cup Files brings you the stories time tried to forget. It's out, however, with Arteta claiming in an interview in 2016 that he almost went to war with FIFA over the ruling. Arteta was believed to be in Spain's squad in February 2009, but a cruciate knee ligament injury meant his name was removed from the list before the squad was announced. Often noted to be one of the best players in modern times to be omitted from a senior international cap, Arteta played at a time when Spain had several enormously high-quality players available in his position, such as Xavi, Andres Iniesta, Xabi Alonso, Cesc Fabregas, Marcos Senna, Sergio Busquets, Santi Cazorla, and David Silva. Style of play: Arteta taking a corner kick for Arsenal in 2011. Arteta initially started out playing as a number 10 in the Barcelona youth system, and was later shifted to the position of a pivot or defensive midfielder, as he was thought to be a player in the mold of Pep Guardiola. He was rated as the 6th most effective player in the Premier League in 2006-07 by the official player ratings system, the Actim Index. Arteta returned to his original deeper midfield role at Arsenal, in which he excelled as his team's playmaker, due to his technique, skill, vision, passing, awareness, and tactical intelligence. His total of 12 league assists in the 2006-07 season was third to Cesc Fabregas and Cristiano Ronaldo. With 100 fouls committed against him in the same season, he was the most fouled player in the Premier League. Coaching and managerial career: Manchester City. Arteta had 3 options upon retirement. He was offered to lead the Arsenal academy by Arsene Wenger, join Mauricio Pochettino's, his teammate from PSG, backroom staff at Tottenham Hotspur, or join Pep Guardiola's coaching team at Manchester City. On the 3rd of July 2016, Arteta was appointed an assistant coach at Manchester City, alongside Brian Kidd and Dominic Torrent, who operated as deputies to Pep Guardiola. Guardiola and Arteta first met at the Barcelona academy, although Guardiola was already established in the first team, being 11 years older than Arteta. Since then, the two have kept in touch. Guardiola was convinced Arteta, who was an Arsenal player at the time, would make a good coach when he called him to get information on Chelsea, prior to their 2012 Champions League semi-finals against Barcelona. In 2015, when Guardiola was exiting Bayern Munich, Arteta, in his final year as a player, reconnected and decided to work together. Arteta stood in as Man City manager in a 2-1 Champions League loss against Lyon on the 19th of September 2018, because of Guardiola's touchline ban. At Man City, Arteta won 2 Premier League titles, an FA Cup, and 2 EFL Cups. In 2018, Arteta became strongly linked with the Arsenal manager's vacancy, following the departure of his former manager Arsene Wenger, but Unai Emery was eventually hired. Arsenal. 2019-22, early years and FA Cup win. On the 20th of December 2019, Arteta was appointed head coach at his former club Arsenal, signing a deal until 2023. Upon his appointment, he stated that he believed the club had lost direction and that he didn't want players to shirk responsibility. "I want people to take responsibility for their jobs, and I want people who deliver passion and energy in the football club. Anyone who doesn't buy into this, or that has a negative effect or whatever, is not good enough for this environment or this culture." Arteta named his coaching staff on the 24th of December, with assistants Albert Stuivenberg and Steve Round, and goalkeeping coach Inaki Kana joining the club. Interim head coach Freddie Ljungberg remained as assistant coach, and goalkeeping coach Sal Bibo stayed to work with Kana. On the 26th of December 2019, Arteta took charge for the first time as an Arsenal manager for their Premier League match against Bournemouth, which ended in a 1-1 draw, thanks to a second-half equaliser from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Despite the draw, he stated he was pleased with the attitude, passion, and the fighting spirit of his players. On the 1st of January 2020, Arteta got his first win as Arsenal coach, a 2-0 win over Manchester United at the Emirates. On the 18th of July 2020, Arsenal beat Arteta's former employer, Manchester City, 2-0 in the FA Cup semi-final, leading Arsenal to their fourth FA Cup final in 7 years, and Arteta's first in charge. Arsenal went on to win the final 2-1 over Chelsea for a record 14th victory, making Arteta the first person to win the FA Cup as both captain and coach of Arsenal. Moreover, he became the first head coach or manager to win a major trophy in his first season in charge of the club since George Graham in 1986-87. In July 2021, set-piece coach Nicolas Jova joined Arteta's coaching team, replacing Andreas Georgesson, who had departed the club. On the 13th of August, Arsenal started their season with a 2-0 loss to newly promoted Brentford, followed by losses to Chelsea and Manchester City, which left the club bottom of the league without a point or a goal, and left Arteta in a precarious position going into the international break. Arsenal resisted calls from supporters for Arteta to be sacked, and the club duly went on to win all their league games in September, leading to Arteta receiving his first Manager of the Month award. On the 1st of April 2022, Arteta received his second Manager of the Month award, and on the 6th of May extended his contract to the end of the 2024-25 season. Having sat in fourth place throughout much of the second half of the campaign, successive defeats away at both Tottenham Hotspur and Newcastle United in the closing weeks of the season saw Arsenal slip to fifth in the final table, and they aged to settle for a campaign in the UEFA Europa League for the following season. 2022-24, title challenges and Champions League return. Arsenal began their 2022-23 campaign with a 2-0 win away to Crystal Palace on the 5th of August 2022. The victory was Arteta's 50th league win as Arsenal boss, making him the second quickest manager to reach 50 top-flight wins for the Arsenal after Arsene Wenger. On the 20th of August, the Gunners beat Bournemouth 3-0 in match week 3. The win vaulted them to the top of the Premier League for the first time since 2016, and ensured it was the first time Arsenal had won their opening 3 fixtures since the 2004-05 season. On the 27th of August, Arsenal beat Fulham 2-1 at Emirates Stadium, marking Arteta's 100th Premier League game in charge. The Gunners finished the month with a 2-1 win at home over Aston Villa on the 31st of August. It was the fourth time Arsenal had started a top-flight season with a run of 5 wins, after 1930-31, 1947-48 and 2004-05. Mikel Arteta became the 11th manager to have won the first 5 games of a Premier League season, after Kevin Keegan, Carlo Ancelotti, Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, Alan Kirbishley, Jose Mourinho, Manuel Pellegrini, Pep Guardiola, Maurizio Sarri, and Jurgen Klopp, 99, after leading the Gunners to wins in all 5 of their Premier League matches of August. Mikel Arteta was named Premier League Manager of the Month, winning the award for the 3rd time following his previous successes in September 2021 and March 2022. On the 16th of October 2022, Arteta's side beat Leeds United 1-0 at Elland Road. This was the club's best start to a top-flight campaign, as the Gunners had won 9 of their first 10 league games for the first time ever. The result also moved Arsenal 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League. On the 6th of November, the Gunners beat Chelsea 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. This was Arteta's 87th victory in 150 games in charge of Arsenal, more than any of his predecessors, including George Graham and Arsene Wenger, over the equivalent period. After guiding Arsenal to 4 wins from 4 Premier League games in November and December, Mikel Arteta picked up his second Premier League Manager of the Month award of the campaign, winning the award for the 4th time since December 2019. On the 22nd of January 2023, Arteta's side beat Manchester United 3-2 at home. The victory put them a 5-point advantage at the top of the Premier League with a game in hand, and meant that Arsenal had 50 points from 19 games at the halfway stage of the league season, their best start to a top-flight campaign, 15 more than they had at the same stage last season. After leading the Gunners to 2 wins and a draw in January from their Premier League games against 3 teams vying for a place in the top 4, Mikel Arteta was named Premier League Manager of the Month for the 3rd time this season, the 5th time since December 2019. He was the first manager to win the award in successive months since Manchester City's Pep Guardiola did so in November and December 2021. Arteta also became the first Arsenal manager to win the award 3 times in a single campaign, which was the first time that had happened in the league since Liverpool's Jurgen Klopp won 5 in the 2019-20 season. On the 12th of March, Arsenal beat Fulham 3-0 at Craven Cottage. This was Arteta's 100th win in his 168th game in charge of Arsenal, meaning he has the best win percentage of any Arsenal manager. Arteta said afterwards, "There is still a lot to improve." The following day, he was awarded Manager of the Year at the 2023 London Football Awards. He won his 4th Manager of the Month award of the season in March. Following a loss on penalties to Sporting CP after a 2-2 aggregate draw in the UEFA Europa League round of 16, injuries to key players William Saliba and Takahiro Tomiyasu would prove detrimental, as Arsenal's 7-game winning streak spanning from mid-February to early April would derail with 3 consecutive draws to Liverpool, West Ham United, and bottom of the table Southampton, before a 4-1 loss at the Etihad Stadium to allow second-place Manchester City to capitalise on Arsenal's drop in form. By the 20th of May, Arsenal could no longer mathematically win the title after consecutive losses to Brighton and Nottingham Forest, finishing in second place and handing the title to Manchester City, being crowned Premier League champions for the 3rd consecutive season before completing the continental treble. The team's second-place finish meant Arteta was the first manager since Arsene Wenger 6 years earlier to guide Arsenal to a Champions League qualification spot, and was the highest position Arsenal had finished in since being league runners-up in 2015-16. It was reported in July 2023 that assistant coach Steve Round had departed the club. Arsenal opened their 2023-24 campaign with a 4-1 victory via duck penalty shootout following a 1-1 draw against reigning champions Manchester City, winning the 2023 FA Community Shield, accounting for Arteta's 3rd trophy as Arsenal manager. On the 8th of October, Arteta's Arsenal defeated Manchester City at the Emirates Stadium 1-0 to end Arsenal's 12-game straight losing run against City in the Premier League. Arteta's 200th game as Arsenal manager came on the 25th of November, which saw Arsenal win 1-0 away at Brentford to take top spot of the Premier League for the first time in the season. On the 29th of November, Arteta led Arsenal to the Champions League knockout stages for the first time since 2016-17, following a 6-0 win over Lens to win Group B. Arteta was named Premier League Manager of the Month for February due to Arsenal's 100% win record throughout the month, as well as scoring 18 goals in the process. In the Champions League round of 16, Arsenal defeated Porto on penalties to reach the quarter-finals of the tournament for the first time since 2009-10. On the 12th of May 2024, Arsenal defeated Manchester United in a 1-0 away win at Old Trafford to secure 27 wins in the 2023-24 campaign at that point, the most for a 38-game season in the club's history, surpassing the record set by the Invincibles in the 2003-04 season. However, despite beating Everton 2-1 on the final day of the season, Arsenal finished runner-up to Manchester City for the 2nd season in a row, missing out on the title by 2 points. On the 12th of September 2024, Arteta extended his contract to remain Arsenal manager for 3 years. Style of management. As a manager, Arteta was influenced by his time playing under Arsene Wenger and serving as an assistant to Pep Guardiola, as well as by the philosophy instilled in him during his spell with the Barcelona Youth Academy. He had also drawn from tactical elements used by Jose Mourinho. As head coach of Arsenal, Arteta mainly uses a 4-3-3 or 4-3-2-1 formation, although he has also been known to use a 3-4-3 formation on occasion. Tactically, his teams look to control games and create chances by dominating possession through fluid, creative passing, often building plays from deep. His team often creates wide overloads to allow players to cut back, while the use of a 3-2 defensive shell when in possession helps to prevent counter-attacks. His team is also effective at creating chances from attacking set pieces. Defensively, his teams are solid and versatile. They are capable of pressing high up the pitch, but also of making an effective use of an aggressive low block, which becomes a 5-4-1, 5-3-2 or 5-2-3 depending on the opponent, and are even capable of posing a threat from counter-attacks. However, although Arteta has been praised in the media for his ability as a manager, at times his style as Arsenal's manager has also been criticised in the press for being too rigid and formulaic. He has also drawn criticism from pundits at times for his perceived inability to manage the pressure placed on his players, and for not bringing more success to the club. Personal life. Arteta was born on the 26th of March 1982 in San Sebastian, in the Basque Country of Spain. He is fluent in Spanish, Basque, Catalan, and English, and also speaks French, Italian, and Portuguese. He is married to Argentine-Spanish actress, television host, and model Lorena Binol. The couple has 3 children, Gabriel, born 2009, Daniel, born 2012, and Oliver, born 2015. In August 2025, Arteta was appointed a Global Ambassador and Director of Performance for sportswear company Under Armour. Thanks for tuning into FA Cup Files, where every cup run holds a tale, and we're here to tell them all. From first whistles to last-minute winners, FA Cup Files will be here, uncovering football's finest. Subscribe and stay with us on FA Cup Files, where the magic never fades, and the legends live on.